So which Aston Martins can potentially double or treble in the next 3 to 5 years? I'm going to discuss that in this video with my experience. I've owned Aston Martins before. I've been very fortunate to own a lot of sports cars and performance cars. So I'm going to share some of my insights with you. And my whole point of this channel is to kind of bring a little bit more of a science to investing in some of these cars of our generation. When I was growing up, a lot of these were kind of poster cars. So let's dive straight in. So I'm on Auto Trader here. So these are UK right-hand drive cars, but remember a lot of the trends will be similar for left-hand drive cars as well. So if we type on Aston Martin, one thing I like to do, first of all, I can have a look and I see there's 800 cars in total. So it's not massive numbers anyway of Aston Martins. What I like to do is I like to sort high to low, because that gives me an idea of what's popping off right now. Are there any particular cars we need to be aware of that could be re-rating or appreciating already? Because my theory on this is cars, I mean, sometimes it feels like they suddenly jump. I don't think they suddenly jump from 50 grand to 500 grand or 100 to 500. It happens in increments. And if you can spot those early, I think there's a good chance you can get on that kind of trend. And mistakes I've made in the past and what I avoid now is any car that looks like it's decent, it's holding price, like it's not really dropped, but it's kind of flatlined sideways. And years or even decades have gone past and it's not done anything. What I'm more interested in is stuff that's gone up, pull back, up, pull back, like a Ferrari F40 or something, but just is kept re-rating upwards. I mean, this is brilliant because you've already seen the movement. The key part is you've already seen some of the movement happen and you're trying to jump in on the next wave. When prices are a little bit lower, there's a little bit of extra supply out there, you could potentially negotiate a deal. That's what we're looking for. So immediately when I look at these, I can see some Vulcans, which are incredibly rare, and also these Vanquish Zagatos, which are incredibly rare. There's only 6 or 7. The problem with these is they're already quite high priced, so it's a big risk, and you don't know if they're actually selling at these prices because the numbers are so low. It's not like a 458 a Speciale or a Pista where sales have been done at 800, 900,000, even over a million for a convertible Speciale, so an Aperta. You know that. With these, I'm not so sure. I've not really seen them on auction sites selling at these prices. And also, the old DB cars are very interesting. So the DB2, DB4, DB5, I've seen loads of them come up at auction over the last few months. And my theory on this personally, let me know what you think in the comment section below, but my theory on things like these is that people who had these in their collection, they're clearing out the collections, because the problem is the people who have the cash now, who are now in their, let's say, mid-30s, mid-40s and stuff like that, this was not their poster car. This is older. So they're not going to go after this. They're going to be looking more like Diablos, Murcielagos, stuff like that. They're not going to look at this. So there's not that much nostalgia or demand, I would say, personally. I mean, they're stunning, unbelievably beautiful cars when you see these in person. But that's just my theory on this. These could flatline or potentially over years even kind of just drop a little bit. But I definitely don't think they're a safe bet in terms of appreciation or a 2x. But again, that's my personal opinion. They have obviously gone up over time, but then, like I said, they've gone sideways for a very long time. So what are we left with? Well, let's talk about the DB7s first, some of the earlier cars. So my feelings on these, and I mean, it's an opinion, of course. Everybody's going to have an opinion, but it's based on market research, data, the numbers, basically. And my feeling with this, like if you go low to high here, obviously not all of them will be the 5.9s and stuff, but my feeling here is that they haven't really done anything. Again, beautiful cars, had a chance to appreciate, but it's kind of too late now. Like they're coming up to 30 years old now. And if they were going to move, they would have. And the supply is too high anyway. I just don't think they're that sought after. And the problem is then, with Aston Martins, you need to see proof of another car appreciating in the past to prove that new ones might do. And this just really hasn't gotten going at all. So they've been flat for a while, flat and slightly to the downside. And the thing is, even if they're flat, like you buy a car at 25k and let's say in 5 years you sell it for 25k, you'll say that's free motoring, it's not too bad. But again, compared to inflation and maintenance, stuff like that, it's not great either. Could your cash be parked better in another car? That's the question here. So I personally don't think DB7s are good. And I would say the same for the Vantage. We'll go into the Vantage in just a minute, but for the majority of them, I would say no for the Vantage. Now, looking at the DB9 and the Vanquish, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So with DB9s, What I personally like, but there's no proof of it yet, is the very, very late model. So if you go in high to low, they change the lights, so they're similar to the kind of the Vanquish front end, but they retain the back end, and they got some bits from the DBS, I think, as well. And I personally, again, this is an opinion now, I think they look really, really nice. And then, as you'll probably know, as we get to the newer cars, not only in Aston Martin but Ferrari and other ones as well, is they're becoming more turboed, hybrid. Some are going fully electric now as well, so we're going in that direction. So there's going to be less and less of the naturally aspirated V12s. So as these are naturally aspirated V12s, I think some of these late models, which look, if you have a look at the pictures, they look fabulous. They've got the boot lip there, the clear lights at the back as well, changing the alloys, the new front end. I just think these look really, really good. So I personally think, this is an opinion at the moment, these will age really well. Now, because they're the last of the DB9s, the last ones off the line, these may be good to hold, but again, do they need to depreciate a little bit more first and develop a base? So these are all of the, again, we're talking about the facelift ones. If we scroll down, you'll see some of the earlier ones. So I think the facelift, I don't know the exact year, I think it was about 2013-ish, something like that. That's what we're looking at, not the early ones. So not these early ones with the old lights, it's the facelift ones. So if we narrow that down, so kind of easy to do, so let's say 2013, 2012, something like that, and then we go low to high. Let's see with these facelift ones, so that's still an old one, so facelift is about here, so you can see there's a bit of a jump there. So the base there is about 44 grand, and will they go lower than that, the facelift ones? That's a question to ask, because remember, it's already 12 years now. You'd expect them to have bottomed out about maybe 7-8 years. We're kind of past that now, and we're seeing something that's interesting. So in the cars I've seen that have done really well and go up in value, you see this kind of margin difference increase in mileage. So high mileage ones and low mileage ones, the difference is minimal. Like years ago it might be 20 grand or something, but then it gets bigger and bigger, and now you can see this 11,000 one selling for 185 grand for the 18k one, and these are Volantes. And I just think we're already seeing that with these. So these are ones I'm looking at. I'm trying to find one low mileage, preferably convertible for me personally, at a good price, and I think it might be one to hold on to, because we're already seeing some signs that the late models could do well, for many reasons. But I think this is a legendary car, but obviously supply was very high. But in terms of facelift, I can see the supply getting eaten up quite quickly, especially in the nicer colors. Now let's have a look at something else. So this is not a guarantee, this is a maybe, but you know, DB9 is a legendary car, of course. Vanquish, these are ones I've owned and I currently own as well. The Vanquish, the Tronic 3, so the facelift one, the newer one. And the thing with these is there's just not a lot of them around. So if you type in for the new ones, I think they were from 2016-ish, and then if you go for convertibles only, it's only 11, and I have a convertible one of these. And again, if you ignore the Zagatos, because they're already very highly priced and we don't know how they're going to do, and you ignore the new shape ones, right? Because these are now by turbos and stuff like that. But I mean, look at the prices. I mean, if these are going for 350, it's going to pull everything up, of course. So not a bad thing. But these are the ones. Again, brilliant front end. I personally, own this car, but I think the back end is not as nice as the later DB9s. That's, again, just me personally. But brilliant to drive. Very, very quick as well. And this is an excellent GT car. Of all my cars, this is my favorite car when I'm doing very long distances. Easily better than any Ferrari or Lamborghini, in my opinion, as a GT car. But anyway, so these, whether they moved or not, I don't know. But I mean, if they're selling here, you can see low mileage ones for 120, 130s. They seem to be holding very, very well. I think these might do well just because the supply is smaller as well. Again, ideally in convertible form, much like Ferraris. Usually the convertible ones, less numbers and stuff, they tend to outperform in terms of, well, they tend to have a higher premium than the coupes. Now, this is again maybe, but is already moved. So those are two maybe already moved cars. But then the one that I think has moved out of the kind of stuff from our generation, the Vantage, what you're looking for here is, so it could be any body type, what we're looking for here is the V12 manuals, ideally. So engine size, we're looking at the 5.9. So you can see these are all of the ones that exist out there at the moment. And if we do low to high, so it's already low to high, so you can see base now 60, 70. So these are moving. So you can see without these two, starting price is 120. And obviously there's different versions, there's S versions and stuff like that, but these have gone, I think, already. They've already begun the ascent, in my opinion. And they're just amazing underlying cars. And obviously ignore all of the new ones, which because they're so highly priced, the new ones, it may pull up the whole market, and people may look for the older ones because the new ones obviously buy turbos and stuff. So sometimes these new lines help. But in terms of the older ones, how many are left for sale? Handful. Look at 3 or 4 or 5. And then if you change this gearbox to manual only, very, very few. So I can't remember, but I think maybe I don't know if all of the V12s were manuals. I'm not 100% sure. I obviously have to do my own research on that one, but I think these have moved. These are very, very good bet that these could do well. I don't personally like how they look compared to the Vanquish or DB9, but again, what you're paying for is brilliant driving car, last manual V12, naturally aspirated. It's such a small, light car. It's just incredible driving experience, and I've been in one of these before. It's brilliant cars. So it's one I'm keeping an eye on myself as well. So in terms of Aston Martins, that's pretty much it. Not interested at all in any of the newer stuff. And I think if you just reset this, the other one I think looks good is the DBS, Superleggera. But let's have a look at DBS first, because everyone thought these would do well. I mean, very, very unique cars and stuff like that, but they never did anything. Is that because kind of looks, nothing special, like the facelift DB9s probably look better, or is it because of maintenance? Is it because of supply? Because there's just so many. So these are sticking. I mean, these are one of those cars that have been flatlined. So you're not necessarily going to lose a lot of money, but some of these listings I've seen sitting here for like a year or more. So they really don't move. Now, can supply get eaten up in time? Yes, but I mean, we're already late in the day now. It's getting up to 20 years. So I don't think this is as good a pick. The one I'm looking at though, which I think the facelift ones look really, really good. Now, they are obviously bi-turbos and stuff. I just think they're a very, very good looking car, and they're going to age really well. So I'm keeping my eye to see when these may quote unquote bottom out. Because they're so new at the moment. They're 7 years old, and Aston Martins do tend to depreciate a lot. But the prices are getting so crazy now, like sub 100k for such a special car. It's definitely one I can keep an eye on. But again, it's supply and demand. You know, there's a lot of them available. So this is one I would rather watch in the next few years, just to see what the opinions are on these in 3 to 4 years. But the immediate ones are, I would say, number one, the Vantage manuals, the older V12s. Possibly the Vanquish as well, and the facelift last DB9s. They would be very interesting to see where those sit in a few years. And remember, in terms of ROI, if you're buying, let's say, the facelift DB9, and you manage to find a low mileage one and you get it for 60k and stuff, and in 3 years time, it's, you know, it might be going for 85 or 90k. It doesn't sound like much appreciation, but remember, ROI, return on your investment, that's 50%, which is a lot. And then over a longer period of time, it could be a hell of a lot more as well. So that's my thoughts, but I would watch Aston Martins closely over the coming years. Definitely compared to Ferrari, they're not as proven in terms of clear appreciation on some of the older, rarer models. And same for the Lamborghini of the same era. They're definitely underperforming. But let's see what happens. If you like these kind of videos, you want me to cover any particular other manufacturers, let me know. Thanks.